Yeah, hello. This is the carburetor from the lawnmower that I was working on that I had a couple of videos about earlier. And I just thought I'd show you a few things about it in case you're working on one yourself. Um, it's been a voyage of discovery for me too, although I did know a little bit, to start, but I'm learning as I go too. So this is the part where the problem is the basically the throttle plate, and that is not moving freely. So, and it's broken off right here where the governor wire would connect, so it couldn't be regulated properly, which is why I just went ahead and replaced it. Maybe if a person worked on it enough, you could get it to function freely, but you'd have to put another piece on the top here for the governor wire to hook onto. But it's basically the carburetor functions, but it was dirty and it was beat up. So anyway, this is what normally seems to go wrong with these if they sit for a while and they get all gummed up with old gas or something. And you have to take the whole carburetor off, and then you take this float bowl off here. This is where the gas goes into and is fed into the engine. And they have a nut, or it's actually the jet on the bottom that holds it on there, but it takes a 1/2 inch wrench and you just loosen it up. This one I already loosened up for demonstration purposes, but you might want to put it in a vise or something and crack it loose because it's probably kind of tight. And you take this thing off. This is like the main jet, I guess. It's got a little gasket on the bottom that usually there's no problem with. I'm sure you can probably buy them $1 for 100 of them or something. And then you take this bowl off. And if the carburetor's been sitting around and it's all dirty, this is going to be all full of crud. So you're going to want to wash this out. You can just put it in a coffee can and put some laundry detergent or something. You don't have to use any harsh solvent or anything, but just clean it all up, get all the crud out, take a rag and wipe it out, and make sure it's clean, and then you set that aside. And this is your float mechanism, and when the carburetor is in the engine, on the engine, this float right here, the gasoline goes into the float chamber, and this goes up and down like that. And when it goes down, a little more gas can come in because there's a pin, there's a valve right here, and that lets the gas in, and then when it fills up, it goes up and it closes the valve. So, you can take that off of there. This little pin comes out right here. Don't lose it. And this is your float. If your float has a hole in it and it sinks, then it's no longer a float, and your carburetor isn't going to work. It's just you're gonna get a lot too much gas. But these rarely go out. And this is your little needle valve that hooks right onto the bottom of the float right here. Goes like this, and it just hangs there, and you got to make sure to put that back in when you disassemble or when you reassemble it. Otherwise it isn't going to work right at all. And you can see that this has got a rubber gasket all around, and that seals it up in that. So make sure that's in reasonable condition. If it didn't leak before you, then it's no problem. And you can use a piece of wire, stiff wire, to make sure that this is clear here, and then where the needle valve sits, make sure that's clear. And then if you look on the inside of there's a hole in there, and you put the wire through there, and you should be able to see the wire right through when you look through throw to the carburetor, and that, so you know the main jet is clear. Okay, so that's the main jet. Usually there's not a lot of trouble with this. You can take this, put it in your coffee can with the laundry detergent or whatever, and let it soak and get it all clean and that, and rinse it off and dry it before you put it back together. Now this thing right here, this is the thing that causes a lot of problems, I think, is it gets kind of gummed up. And I'll take this little gasket off of here. You want to take your wire, and there's a hole along the bottom right here. You put the wire through and you make sure that that's clear. And what really seems to get plugged up on these, there's this hole in the top right here. And if you put the wire in there, it might not want to go all the way through. You kind of got to push it in, and you probably can't see it here, but if you look through the holes right there on either side of this little valve thing, you'll see that wire coming through. And if you don't, then it's plugged up, and you just got to keep kind of grinding it out as you do to make sure that it's clear, because that's, if it isn't, then you're not going to get any gas into your engine and your thing ain't going to run. So some people that use a drill bit on it, which works, but make sure you don't enlarge this hole on the end any, because each engine is going to have a slightly different size hole, just by a couple of thousandths of an inch maybe. And if it's made substantially larger at all, then your engine isn't going to run properly. It'll have too much gas or too much air or something. But anyway, just make sure that that's not plugged up. And if you get that cleared out, chances are your carburetor is going to be okay then. And then you put your little gasket back on. And you got to reassemble your carburetor. Put your needle valve on there and put that back on there. And this is the tricky part. If you're young and you have good steady hands, it helps. Put your little pin back in here. Easier said than done. I suppose these pins probably only go in one way, but there we go. So there's nothing really holding it. It just kind of sits in there, and then when the bowl is on there, it's prevented from going back and forth and coming out. You put your bowl back on there, put your little thing on there, make sure your little gasket is on the screw, and put that in there. Tighten it down. You don't have to have these super tight or anything. Put it on there, and then tighten it down with your 1/2-inch wrench. So that's your basic carburetor. And you know, make sure that your throttle plate isn't sticky like this one. This is actually getting more freely moving now. And if this thing wasn't busted on here, I could still reuse this. And who knows, maybe I'll figure out how to do it someday. But anyway, that's your basic carburetor off a 6.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton lawnmower engine. So in the next video, I'll tell about the primer and air cleaner plate. So I think we have enough covered here for now. So if you have any questions, you can ask me, or if I said anything wrong, you know, like I say, I'm no expert on this, but this is what I've found. And I've been working on small engines since back in high school, you know, off and on. So anyway, if you got any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.